I've been sober for 2 years, 4 months, and 11 days. It was hard at first. The shakes, the shame, the pretending. But I got through it. I got clean. I got better. So when my old friend Nick invited me to a birthday party, I almost didn't go. I knew what kind of scene it would be. Loud music, liquor everywhere, people getting sloppy. But he said it would mean a lot. And I figured I could handle an hour. 1 hour, nurse a soda, shake hands, smile, then leave. I should have trusted my gut. The party was in full swing when I arrived. Red cups, bad EDM. That thick, sour smell of beer and sweat. I stuck to the kitchen, poured myself Coke from a 2-liter, and kept to the edges of the room. I watched the condensation crawl down the cup as people I hadn't seen in years stumbled past me. A girl bumped my shoulder and laughed. Someone lit something in the bathroom. I was just waiting for the clock to hit 10. Then someone handed me another Coke, a guy I didn't recognize. He said, "Here, yours looked flat." I smiled, took it politely, didn't even think. Stupid. I don't remember what happened after I took the first sip. I woke up in my bed, head pounding, mouth dry, heart racing. For a split second, I thought, relapse. I screwed up. Somehow I let it happen. But the more I tried to piece things together, the more it didn't make sense. I wasn't hungover. I felt drugged. Everything was fuzzy, like my thoughts were underwater. Then I saw it, on my dresser, a wooden doll, about a foot tall, hand-carved. It wore a tiny version of my exact outfit from last night. Black jeans, gray hoodie, red Chuck Taylors. The detail was wrong. Too good. The laces were tied the same crooked way I always did. The little hoodie had a frayed cuff, same as mine. Its face was blank, no eyes, no mouth. Just smooth wood where features should be. I thought maybe it was a joke, some sick prank. But I live alone. I lock my door. Always. I checked the apartment. Nothing was missing, but the closet was open. I never leave it open. And on the inside of the door, scratched into the wood, I swear this is true, were the words, "You look better this way." I tossed the doll in the trash, took a shower, tried to forget. But that night when I got home from work, it was back. On a dresser, same pose, same blank face. Only now it was sitting, its tiny hands on its lap. And my hoodie, my real hoodie, was gone from the closet. I called Nick. I asked him about the guy who gave me the second drink. He just laughed it off. Said he didn't remember anyone like that. Told me I left early, around 10:30, looking pale and weird. I asked if he saw me leave with anyone. He paused. Said no. I left alone. But a few people saw me talking to some girl in the kitchen. No one knew her. Short black hair. Long coat. Said she gave off a weird vibe. He thought she was my date. I never saw her. The next morning, the doll was on my kitchen counter. This time, standing. And now it had eyes. Small black buttons. I didn't sleep that night. I sat on the couch with a kitchen knife in my lap, staring at the thing. At 3:47 a.m., it fell off the counter by itself. Just tipped forward, like it was trying to walk. I burned it the next day, took it out to the alley, smashed it with a hammer, and set the pieces on fire in a metal trash can. Watched it burn, felt real, final. But when I woke up the next morning, it was back, on my pillow. And now it has a mouth, a little carved smile, just like mine. It's watching me as I write this, sitting on the desk. Its arms are longer now. I swear they weren't that long before. And last night, I woke up to the sound of tiny footsteps across the hardwood. My front door was unlocked, and in the hallway mirror, I saw something behind me, short, wooden, smiling. I'm not crazy. I'm not drinking again. Something happened to me at that party, and I don't think I came back alone. People always think being a delivery driver in the Poconos is easy. Scenic drives, no traffic, quiet back roads. And sure, most days it's peaceful. But sometimes, quiet ain't a good thing. That Tuesday started normal. I was behind on rent, doing double shifts, trying to rack up tips before the first. Around 5, I got a ping for a pizza drop. Vinny's Pizza, 2 large pies. Address said 173 Dribblebees Lane. No name, no apartment number, just the address. I didn't recognize it, but I mapped it anyway. 25 minutes out, past Jonas, kind of remote, but the payout was decent, so I took it. The road got worse the farther I drove. Paved turned to gravel, gravel to dirt. Trees got dense, and the sun started slipping behind them. I pulled up to this beat-up old farmhouse. Green paint peeling off the siding, black shutters hanging sideways. The kind of place that looks like nobody's lived in it for a long time. But what got me was the cornfield behind it. Dry, brown dead, like the whole field was holding its breath. I got out, pizzas in hand, and started up the porch. That's when I saw him. This man stepped out from the corn, maybe 30 feet away. Pale, shirtless, barefoot, and smiling. Not a normal smile. It was wide, unnaturally wide, like someone told him what a smile was, but he'd never done it before. He waved, slow, like his arm was too heavy for his body. "Hey," he called out. "You're right on time." I stopped. Instantly, my gut tightened. Delivery for you? I managed to say. He nodded, still smiling. "Sure, that's me. You want to come in?" He motioned toward the house. The front door creaked open as if on cue. Inside was pitch black. I didn't move. He took a step forward. "It's chilly out here. You can come in if you want." I was gripping that pizza bag so tight, my fingers ached. Everything in my body told me not to go in that house. My heart was pounding, throat dry, knees stiff. No. This is fine, I said, holding the pizzas out like a shield. He stepped closer. That's when I smelled him. Rot. Not sweat, not dirt. Something wrong, like spoiled meat and wet clothes left too long in the dark. And in the corner of my eye, I swear, the corn was moving, not from the wind. There were shapes in there, low, crawling between rows, fast, watching. I couldn't breathe. The total is 60. He was just a foot away now, that grin still plastered on his face, eyes too wide, too still. I dropped the bag. Didn't think. I just turned and ran. Behind me, his voice followed, still calm, still smiling. "Don't forget to rate me 5 stars. I didn't look back. I slammed into my car, reversed so hard I almost ditched into the trees and peeled out down that dirt road. Didn't stop until I saw headlights on Route 209. I called the cops, told them what happened. They met me and went to check the place out. But when they came back, they said the house was empty. No one inside, no furniture, looked abandoned for years. In the cornfield, they found a busted old tent. The pizza box, an empty purse. But here's the part that really screws with me. The app had no record of the order. No history, no address, no payment. It was like it never happened, except I still had the receipt in my car. And now, some nights around dusk, when I'm driving deliveries out in the back roads, I'll see him standing by the edge of the woods, shirtless, smiling, waving. You ever do something dumb just to pass time and then regret it every day after? That's what happened to me back in 2016 when I was still doing night shifts at the old psych ward up in White Plains. Yeah, that place. The one they tore down in 2019. My name is Eric. I'm a 38-year-old veteran, now working in nursing. It was a quiet Wednesday, raining, cold. The kind of night you'd expect something to go wrong. I was covering the graveyard shift with a float nurse named Maria and this medtech Jay, who had a weird obsession with antique stuff. He came in that night grinning like a lunatic, pulled a dusty old Ouija board out of his bag and said, "Found this in my uncle's attic. Want to try it?" Now, I'm not superstitious, but working psych, you see enough to make you wonder. But we were bored, over-caffeinated, and the patients were all medicated and sleeping, or so we thought. We set it up in the break room around 2 a.m. It smelled like stale coffee, bleach, and the faint trace of cigars. That part still gets me. None of us smoked cigars. No one in the ward did, but we all noticed it. I remember Maria wrinkling her nose and saying, "Smells like my grandpa's funeral." We laughed it off. That was our first mistake. Jay dimmed the lights, and we put our fingers on the planchette. "Is anyone here with us?" he asked. Nothing. We giggled like kids. But then, the damn planchette started to move. Not fast, just a slow drag to yes. Maria jerked her hand back, whispering, "Eric, are you pushing it?" "No," I said, and I wasn't. "I swear." Jay's eyes were wide. "Who are you?" The planchette spelled it out. Jonah. Then it slid to YES. I felt this sharp chill go down my back, the kind that makes your skin feel too tight. Maria whispered, "What do you want?" The board paused, then spelled DONTLETHIMOUT. We all sat back. "What the hell does that mean?" Jay said. Just then, bang, we all jumped. It was a loud, solid knock on the break room door. But when I opened it, the hallway was empty. The lights were flickering, and that damn cigar smell? Stronger, thicker, like someone had just exhaled right beside us. Then over the intercom, static, followed by something I can only describe as a low groaning sound. We froze. Maria said, "We need to close the board." Now, but Jay was pale, staring at the board. "Guys," he whispered. The planchette moved. I looked down. It had spelled HESWAKING. Suddenly, down the hallway, bang, bang, bang. 3 loud knocks, perfectly spaced, coming from room 302. That room had been empty for 2 years, after the old man in there, Mr. Delaney, unalived himself with his bed sheets. He used to wander the halls muttering about voices in the vents. And get this, he used to smoke cigars. Constantly. I grabbed the emergency keys and went with Maria to check. Jay refused to leave the board. He said, "Someone has to watch it." Room 302 was locked. No lights on inside. But as I slid the key in, Maria grabbed my arm. "Eric," she whispered, pointing to the crack under the door. Smoke. Cigar smoke. I pushed it open slowly. The room was ice cold, the bed untouched. But on the chair in the corner, plain as day, was a lit cigar resting on the windowsill. Still smoldering, we backed out. Fast. When we got back to the break room, Jay was gone. Just gone. Board still out. Planchette sitting dead center. No sign of struggle, but the lights were off. And written on the wall, in what looked like soot, was a single word: out. We called security, searched the whole ward. Jay wasn't found until 5:17 a.m. in the basement maintenance tunnels. He was curled up in a fetal position, mumbling, "Jonah's out, Jonah's out," over and over. They transferred him to another facility that morning. He never came back. The next night, Maria quit. just walked out mid-shift and never returned my texts. Me, I stayed another year, but I never worked another night shift, and I never touched a Ouija board again. You want to know the worst part? Sometimes, even now, when I'm alone, I still smell those damn cigars. And I swear, some nights, I hear knocking 3 times, always 3, just like that night in White Plains. My name is Jessica. I've babysat for years. Toddlers, twins, rowdy kids, nothing I couldn't handle. I like the quiet jobs best, like the one in Bethesda. The Claytons lived in a sleek glass and stone house tucked deep into a cul-de-sac. When I first saw it, I thought it looked like something out of a magazine. Huge windows, clean lines, all sharp edges and silence. Mrs. Clayton gave me the tour. All the lights are motion censored, she said. Just walk into a room and they'll switch on automatically. Smart system. Saves energy, I nodded, pretending I wasn't a little creeped out by how still everything was. They left around 6. Their daughter, Lily, was quiet and polite. Too polite. During dinner, she kept glancing toward the hallway near the back of the house. Something down there, I asked. She just shook her head and whispered, "No. Not tonight." I tried to laugh it off. After I put her to bed, I made some popcorn and settled in to watch a movie. About 20 minutes later, I heard it, a whistle. 2 notes, low, slow. I froze, paused the TV. It came from the hallway, the same one Lily had been staring at. I got up, heart beating too fast, and walked toward it. The second my foot crossed into the hall, the lights flicked on, empty. I checked the back door. Locked, looked through the glass. Nothing but trees and moonlight. When I turned around, behind me, I spun so fast I almost dropped my phone. Still no one there. Maybe it was air through the vents or the house settling. That's what I told myself as I went back to the couch. Half an hour later, the hallway lights turned on again. I hadn't moved. The sensors only trigger if something's moving. I stood up slowly. My pulse was pounding in my neck. I walked back to the hallway, this time keeping my voice steady. "Hello, Mr. Clayton?" No answer. One door at the very end was closed. I was sure I hadn't shut it. I turned the handle. The lights inside didn't come on. I waved my hand. Nothing. The air smelled stale, dusty. Then, behind me, I ran back to the living room, grabbed my phone. No signal. Wi-Fi was down. I bolted upstairs to Lily's room. She was sitting up in bed, eyes wide. "Did you hear that?" I whispered. She nodded. "Who is it?" Her voice was trembling. "He lives in the walls." My stomach dropped. "Who does?" "The man." Before I could say anything, the hallway light outside her room flicked on. I locked her door, shoved the dresser in front of it. The lights went out. Click, 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 one after another. Then came the scratching inside the wall. I pulled Lily into the closet and tried calling 911 again. Finally, 1 bar of signal. Before I could hit call, the closet light turned on. We both froze. There weren't motion sensors in the closet. And then I smelled it. Sweat. Dirt. Something shifted behind the hanging coats. I grabbed Lily's arm and yanked her toward me, just as a man's voice rasped out of the shadows. "Shh." A figure stepped forward, thin, filthy, wearing an old army jacket. His eyes were wild, sunken. His lips cracked as he smiled. He lifted a finger to his mouth. "Don't scream." Then he whistled. I threw the closet door open and ran, dragging Lily with me. We barreled down the stairs, lights flaring on as we passed, like the house was tracking us. I could hear him moving behind us, bare feet slapping the floor. "Stop!" he shouted. Don't go out there. We hit the front door. It was locked, chained. My fingers fumbled. Finally pulled it free. We burst outside just as headlights swept over us. The Claytons. They froze, groceries spilling to the ground. Behind them, the man stood in the doorway, blinking into the light like an animal. Mrs. Clayton gasped. "Oh my God, he's back." Her husband rushed forward and slammed the door shut. Later, the police told me he was a homeless man who'd been hiding in their walls for weeks, crawled through the crawl space, lived between the insulation and drywall, came out at night to steal food. They said he used to whistle to himself when he moved around, so he wouldn't scare himself in the dark. But that sound is burned into me. Even now, in my apartment, if the motion light in my hallway flicks on by itself, I freeze. Because sometimes I swear I hear it again. And I remember the man in the walls. I've seen some strange things in my years as a home health aide, but nothing like what I saw in the hills outside Richmond. It started with a new assignment. Temporary, just a few days. The agency sent me to a secluded cabin north of the city, tucked into the woods near an old logging trail. The client was an elderly woman named Miss Haverly, supposedly recovering from a fall, though the intake notes were basically empty. No family contacts, no medication list, no hospital discharge papers, just an address and a handwritten note. She prefers no questions, just keep her company at night. It had been raining all week, that slow, whispering October rain that never really stopped. I got there just past dusk, wipers smearing across my windshield. The porch light was out, no lights at all. The only thing that greeted me was a doormat at the front door. It didn't say welcome. It didn't say hello. It said, "Come in alone." I stared at it for a while. Not funny, not even clever. Just off. I knocked twice. Nothing. Knocked again. Louder. Still nothing. Finally, I tried the handle. It was unlocked. Inside, the cabin was cold and dim. Dust hung in the air. The hearth hadn't been lit, and most of the furniture was covered in white sheets. It didn't feel like anyone's home. It felt like a place waiting for something. At the far end of the room, a hallway led into the shadows. "Miss Haverly," I called out, trying to sound steady. A rasping voice answered from deeper inside. "Come in. You're late." I moved slowly down the hall, past crooked portraits and curtains that looked like they hadn't been touched in years. The bedroom door creaked open under my hand. There she was, in a tall wooden bed, thin as bone, hair like smoke, eyes like wet stones. She didn't smile, just stared. "You'll be staying the night," she said. "Make yourself comfortable. There's tea in the kitchen, but don't answer the door. No matter who comes," I blinked. "What? Why would—" "No matter who comes," she said again. "And don't step on the mat when you leave." By midnight, the storm had gotten worse. I sat curled up in the front room with a chipped mug of bitter chamomile. The TV didn't work. No cell service. I couldn't get the fireplace to light. Everything smelled like mildew and damp wood. But it was just a job. One night, maybe two. Then came the knock. 3 slow, heavy raps. I froze. No one should have been out there. No one even knew I was here. I stood up slowly and crept to the door. Silence. Then a voice. "I need help," it said. Male. Hoarse. Muffled. "I was in an accident. Please open the door." My heart pounded. I looked through the peephole. A man stood at the edge of the porch. Tall. Soaking wet. Still. I raised my voice. "I can call someone, but I can't let you in." He tilted his head. "I saw you come in," he said. "You stepped on it. You step on the mat." I felt the floor shift under me. I hadn't. Had I? Number. I'd walked around it. I remember doing that. More knocking. Louder. Faster. "I have to come in." You invited me. "No," I whispered, backing away. I grabbed my coat. I was done. Leaving. I didn't care if the agency fired me. But as I crossed the hallway toward the bedroom, I glanced out the window. There he was again, not on the porch, at the tree line. I ran to wake Miss Haverly. The bed was empty. Not just empty, neatly made, like no one had slept in it for days. I checked the kitchen, the back room, nothing. Then I saw it, an old black and white photo behind a dusty lamp, a young woman staring forward, and standing behind her, him, same face, same blank, staring eyes. The photo was dated 1934. I dropped it. I bolted for the door, but stopped cold. The mat was gone, not pushed aside, not turned over. Gone. The wood beneath the threshold was slick, wet. I reached down and touched it. It wasn't just water. It was red. I staggered back, turning toward the window, and saw him again. Only this time, he wasn't outside. He was behind the glass. Pressed to it, a shadow with no face, inches from mine. I screamed and stumbled, knocking over a lamp. The bulb shattered. Darkness swallowed the room, and then whispers. From the walls, from the floor, from everywhere. "You came in alone," the voice said. Not hers, not his, something else. Something dry and ancient, like leaves crushed underfoot. "You stepped on it. Now you're welcome." I ran for the door, yanked it open. There it was, the mat, back in place. But now it read, "Stay forever." They found my car the next day, still running, driver's side door wide open, no sign of me. Just a single wet footprint on the welcome mat. And if you ever find yourself near those woods on a rainy October night, you might see a figure in the window of that cabin, standing there, hand on the glass, mouth open like she's screaming. But there's no sound, just the wind and the whispers.